to call in, dial area code 713-701-5214. You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Surlana.
You know, you are live on the mic there.
Oh, I am?
Yes. Why don't you tell the whole world behind the scenes stuff?
Oh, that's
yes,
fine.
indeed. The phone lines are open, 713-701-5214. If you want to call in, ask a question, it's up to you. And other than that, we're going to continue our wonderful conversation with Solaris BlueRaven. So
I was interested in, so you've got, apparently, you know, obviously you've got a lot of mental harassment, but they also affected you physically with some of this, like you were telling us in the break, that it took a toll on you physically. They can alter, you know, they can make you move things, but it also can make your heart race, and things that just don't look like good feelings.
Right. They can literally do a lot of manipulation, let's put it that way. They can surge you out. They can create a program to make you attracted to certain people. And I don't, without getting too graphic, but literally surge your sexual centers out around stupid things. When I was first pulled into the program, they had me ramped up with airplanes, ramped up with their motorcycles, where there was like vroom, vroom, you know. And every time he ramped up his motorcycle, it would ramp me up internally with the technology. This is what they were doing to me. They were literally hijacking me from the inside with an exterior signal that they created. And that was pretty disgusting, and that was pretty bizarre, and it put me into a great deal of trauma because I didn't know how to process that. I mean, honestly, you guys, when you get hit with a technology like this, you don't know how to, I mean, it's just bizarre. That's all there is to it.
It sounds like bullying for just the heck of it.
It's very much so. Yeah, it was really, to me, it seemed like a very cruel thing to do to somebody. And I had a little more respect for Pert. I was surprised that he would go that low, to be honest with you. And the bottom line is, I'd like to also incorporate the fact that their families are well involved in these. His wife was involved in it. The Weinrib family, which is Geddy Lee's family, are involved. Alex Life. I mean, these guys are all, their inner circle, their inner secret is really this technology and the misuse of. And I'm really ashamed of all of them that they never came forward on my behalf. But that would be admission of guilt. They can't do it, so they're not going to.
wow. So let's see here. Before we left earlier, we were talking a little bit about I wanted to go back to the holographic thing because it kind of made me think a little bit about the Tesla connection and how he was able to draw power from out of air, it seemed.
Right. Yeah.
And so it got me thinking that if indeed we were in a holographic universe, and I'm kind of leaning towards that kind of conclusion on my own, how easy it would be to draw power out of nothing, or things that would seem magical or would explain like UFOs and mysterious creatures of the unknown.
Right.
So, you know, I guess could you elaborate a little bit more about that?
Sure. Well, the thing is with Tesla, it's all about frequency modulation of the wave and consciousness. Those are the three components, in my opinion, insofar as how we define our multidimensional realities. And the 0 point, by the way, 0 point is the ultimate because it's the soul frequency is the 0 point. So we have a universal gift. We have immortality at the soul spirit level. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. Your essence of origin is off-world. We are not from here. We come from the stars. We go back to the stars. So we have a multidimensional, multiversal design of spirit and consciousness. Now, that can get hijacked by this type of technology. But the ethers and everything that we create, we manifest. So Tesla really understood the components behind consciousness and how we were able to create everything through frequency, transmission of signal. He knew how to modulate certain frequencies to actually enhance and amplify what was here already on this planet in the illusion of, because everything is coming through. We have stargates, what you call the sun is a stargate. I mean, you literally have energetic signatures and signals that are more powerful than you can possibly imagine bombarding this world. And those signals can raise our vibratory rate. They can expand our consciousness. They can alter us on a multidimensional level. What we call DNA activation is a natural given due to the frequencies of consciousness and how we download naturally. You hear a lot of people say they're getting downloaded. Well, that's true. We do get downloaded naturally. We get upgraded naturally through DNA activation in frequency. It's not New Age. It's old mystery school. This is something the ancient ones always knew about. And these guys understand that very well, but they become more like the corrupt sorcerers to a point where they're trying to hijack all technology and the paranormal and spirituality. And I hope that answers your question. But it's really about frequency and consciousness, and that we can harness anything. We are electrical beings, and we have the natural components to have free energy on this world, which I know in the undergrounds they have access to all this stuff. They're working free energy with all of their covert technologies in the Black Space program, for example. So
that's what Dr. Stephen Greer says, is that they already know that how to get free energy, and they're keeping that to themselves. It's just not profitable. It's not in their best interest to let us know all that information.
Right. They want an enslaved society. The problem is that they're trying to encrypt everybody in this false matrix to a point where we're struggling, we're surviving, we're living the illusion of a linear world when in fact we're multidimensional. We're multiversal, and I've always said we have to step up to the galactic neighborhood. We have to step up to the higher frequencies and embrace that, what we really are as multidimensional beings, because we are. It's not woo-woo, it's just what you are. Your cells and your atoms are a mirror image of the multiverse. That's huge. And not only is it a mirror image, but you have cellular memory, cellular design. You have memory of every universe and star system out there through your cells and your atoms. Think about that kind of power. And then you tell me, when they go and brain hack people, don't you think they're looking for data streams? Absolutely they are.
Wow.
Now you bring up, I guess, an interesting idea, multidimensional. But, I mean, what about parallel universes? I mean,
that happens.
And so... is there a connection between those universes?
Right. Well, the thing is, as you're a multidimensional being, what I always communicate is that we are multidimensional beings living simultaneously in alternate realities and alternate star systems and universes. I know that sounds really complex, but truly we are. We exist as multidimensional designs. There's always going to be an alternate reality, or what we call an alternate spin-off. Now, alternate realities can be created by thoughts, by intent, by someone else's intent, by entanglement. The alternate realities are things that are not really solid in the multiverse, but actually exist in an etheric kind of place where they're there, but they're really not consistently powerful. But then we have the other aspects of what we call parallel bleed-through, where as you exist as a multidimensional being, you can get a bleed-through effect from an alternate reality that you're on. Say you're here, Spaceboy, but you're also in another part of the cosmos doing other work. Well, that bleeds through to your design, and perhaps that's probably where you get some of your music. So literally, you're getting a download in consciousness, and this is where all of these multiple realities, what we call realities, are really dimensional spaces. So it's all about frequency. So if you can see it as a radio band, each dimension is a frequency. It's a specific frequency. It's a radio band that's a multiversal band of energy, and we can access that through our own vibratory rate. So when you step up in frequency, you are accessing another part of your multidimensional design, and you're able to integrate that ability, whether it's through psychic ability, natural healing, music, sound, whatever your gifts are, you can bring them forward. And also there is also off-world species out there that we can access too. And I know that sounds really abstract, but that's the truth of the cosmos. And people know that who are trained in mystery school teachings. I mean, we all knew this. This is one of the reasons they went after a lot of the ancient mystery schools, and they tortured and hurt a lot of people. And now they have the mind control programs, because once you expand out of the box, if they can't control you and you're able to phase shift or bilocate in consciousness, but you get that vibratory rate right, and you modulate your frequency, you can phase shift to another dimensional space. You can be off planet through, that's called ascension. That's called DNA activation.
Now, I want to talk to you about something that I've talked to another guest of ours, and we're fairly close with. I have told this gentleman that there are times when I've closed my eyes, and not all the time. It comes to me and it goes, where I will close my eyes and look beyond the ether, if you will. And then all of a sudden, I'll get a powerful vision or an image of something. Does that sound something remotely tied in to what we're talking about tonight?
Oh, absolutely. When you have natural psychic vision or natural multidimensional states of consciousness, it's not a real pushy, intrusive thing. It's natural flow. It's by the law of grace. It's very harmonic. So yeah, it sounds like your psychic third eye is opened and you're accessing multiple world realities. When people get hit with psychotronics, it's a driving system. It's a machine, and you will know the difference. And it's also created by man. It's not some advanced species off planet. What they're doing is a driving system to interfere with your natural access to your multidimensional design.
Well, these visions are really interesting from time to time. I'll picture people close up, or I'll see places that I've never seen before. Or, in fact, I think the last time I had one of these visions, I believe I was looking at a bird, and I was remarking of the different colors that I was seeing of the bird. But like I said, it's not something that I just close my eyes and bam, it's there. It's just sometimes I reach a Zen state of mind, and when I've closed my eyes, and those things they'll appear very crisp, or I'll get partial images, and so I don't think I got to share this with you, and I thought this would probably be a good time to share that with you and get your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what comes to mind is also shamanism, because you do have that ability to, I think you'd make a phenomenal healer, by the way, whether you realize it or not. But literally, you have access and you have abilities that you probably don't really work with as much as you should. In other words, the stuff that you're receiving, be lucid in the experience is my suggestion, and learn to control this imagery and see where it goes. And if something's showing you something, that's an image that's coming either from your higher self or perhaps a type of a guide or something you work with off planet. But also there's the aspect of something deeper than that. So being able to manipulate consciousness. In other words, see if you can control the color of the bird. See if you can control it. And once you gain more control and more mastery, you'll start stepping up in frequency to be able to control more. And I think this is another thing, too. When they start profiling people's electromagnetic fields and abilities, they get nervous when we have access. Like for me, I can push through people's firewalls. I can access them. I could see them very clearly in 2004. And I'm also capable of doing things that their covert intel probably doesn't want me to do. So, in other words, I have way too much information for someone who's not part of the inside thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So they'll run interference programs against that. They'll try to get me to, whatever, distract or do whatever it takes, because we are able to do phenomenal things when we are expanded in consciousness. But I think you have some brilliant gifts, and you should definitely pay attention to those gifts, because they are telling you something.
And I got nothing. So.
Oh, well, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all.
Well, I was going to say...
And that's okay. I that's fine. I don't need to be special or anything.
Oh, my goodness. Here we go again.
Be careful, because you might just find one day you wake up and you're just like, wow, what happened? Some light went on somewhere, and all of a sudden I have another avatar gift. So
yeah, that's what I thought the day after we got married. We told you we got married. Yeah, we told you got married at the Star Trek experience.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Before they tore it apart.
I love Star Trek. And like I said, after where I've been, it is like the Borg. There's no doubt about it.
Yes, that's the one thing is you mentioned that in your DVD, and because they were checking you over for implants.
Right. Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, where did you get the implants?
And there's signals, and that's the thing. And Steve Colburn, by the way, he worked with the late Dr. Roger Lear, who physically removed implants, and that's the real deal. This isn't some woo-woo stuff. This is the real technology. And I have 45 minutes of raw footage, by the way, of that scan. I only put the highlights in that documentary. When I unload that 45 minutes of that scan, people's jaws are going to drop. We had cameras, going off. We had things happening that were very unusual. That are very anomalous, that were interfering while we were trying to run these measurements. So yeah, there was a lot going on.
So do you have technology? Like, for example, I have a sister who cannot wear a watch to save her life, because as soon as she puts the watch on, within minutes, maybe even less than that, the watch goes completely dead. And this is watches that are electronic. These are watches that are wind up. It is the most bizarre thing that I've ever seen before. But do you have experiences like that where devices quit working or malfunction?
Yeah, I used to in the past, and this was before I got hit with the program. But I always was able to. I always kind of stopped electricity. In other words, I would hold like Christmas lights in my hand, for example, and I could surge them out just by holding them. My electromagnetic field and my Merkaba signal was really ramped up. I used to do grid working and grid running, what we call grid running, with a group of people that were basically just running energy onto the planet in a positive fashion. And it was a very small group of people I'd work with once a month. And I'll tell you, when I started ramping up my energy field, people could feel it in the room to the point where they would get dizzy. Some people would feel arrhythmias, like heart arrhythmias. That's how strong my electromagnetic field was going. The electricity, the photons. When I do like DNA activation and healing on people, they would literally feel like they were just like electricity was running through their bodies, and they would get upgraded immediately. That's the kind of powerful work I was doing before I got hit with this program. And when they integrated me with this technology, it almost put a dampening field and encapsulated me with what I call, do you remember the Spider-Man suit? The black suit, that's exactly what it reminded me of. It was a nano suit. It was almost like an overlay of my light body. And I think that William Henry talks about singularity. He's spot on. He is spot on about that. So once again, I encourage people to check that out, because he's talking about the light body getting hijacked into artificial intelligence and transhumanism, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that transhumanism stuff is all what I have read as part of a conspiracy like Illuminati to try to make us not be human anymore. So we're supposed to. It's weird how some of these things tie together. We have, you're talking about, your subject tonight. We were talking last night to our writer friend Gordon Roop, where he was discussing his book and his research he did on the Heaven's Gate people, where they also were supposed to go to transform beyond humanity into these ETs that were coming behind the Hale-Bopp comet.
Oh, I remember that, yeah. Well, the transhumanism is real. I mean, insofar as these guys are just like Frankensteins. They want to merge with machines, and they want to be these immortal gods. I mean, that's what they want. But I will tell you that the soul and the spirit is a smart bomb. It doesn't want to live in an artificial host. Mm-hmm. So if they create a clone or whatever they want to create this, to transfer the psyche or the consciousness, first of all, they're not going to get consciousness. They're just going to get a brain template of the previous host. It's like Dax, remember in Star Trek?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's just like that. You're getting a program of someone else's personality. It's getting put into something. They're going to pretend. They're not going to know what's happened to them, and they won't even understand immortality. It's really kind of sad in a way because I know the mechanics behind consciousness, so I can tell they're going the wrong way. But I do know that they're using beings like us who are very high in light consciousness to use as guinea pigs and sometimes for brain templates for their transhumanism program. They made a lot of money off of my brain template. I can guarantee you. Mossbach made a killing. It's really making me upset. That boy's business has gone like you wouldn't believe globally just because of what he did to me. He goes, look what we did to her. Look how it works. And then it was sold.
It's interesting you bring that up as far as, the consciousness into a computer, because Surlana and I were talking about that also earlier today, and it reminded me of that movie with Johnny Depp, and I can't remember what it's called. I'm sure somebody out there will cue me in on.
It's the one where he gets into that
I want to say it's transcendental or
Transcendence or something?
Transcendence, that's it.
I didn't see it, but I didn't want to because I think it would have disturbed me because it's too close to probably where I've been.
Well, that's not like the first. I mean, Star Trek had been doing that kind of plot.
Mean, but in this one, I think that the conclusion that I came with you on this, Surlana, was that it's just a copy of you. It's not you.
You.
Correct.
And then
personality.
And then also, I guess that led into another conversation about Linda Moulton Howe talking about a story of abductions and where they were supposedly the aliens had these containers of bodies and soul containers, and they would just transfer bodies in and out as needed. But going back to the computer thing, I guess the term would be the singularity, where technology and humans kind of hit that line where you can't tell the difference between the two.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, would you ever know I was interconnected with an artificial brain? Let me ask you this.
Probably not. I guess what is the term that they use to tell if the computer is AI?
The Turing test?
Yes, the Turing test.
Well, you know what it reminds me of, and what Michael Mossbach really liked was Blade Runner, and he used to compare me to that a lot. I'm like that. Remember the one skin job that was, how many questions does it take, right?
Right, exactly.
I am me. Don't get me wrong, but I was very compatible with that technology. Scary compatible to a point where I could pull it off really well, and they know it.
I can only assume that if I was copied mentally into a computer, that it's just like you would say. I don't think I could survive my copy in a computer. There would be some kind of breakdown, I think, just like in Blade Runner.
Yes.
With these machines, because if you start thinking about it, you're transferring. It's dark. I mean, you don't see. I mean, it's your energy basically,
right?
And so that kind of going from what we would be as a mortal, skin and all that biologicalness to actually being circuitry. I can only assume that that would really fry my brain, so to speak.
Right. Well, it's also the soul needs to breathe. That's the thing is, and if they take a copy of you, sure, they can insert it into an artificial host, and that's fine. But you're not going to know about it, and the artificial host has no connection to the cosmos. Mm-hmm. Even if it's an imprint of you, it's an artificial. It's a simulation of you. It's an imitation. It's a cheap imitation, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. And this is why the soul is a beautiful thing. The spirit. I'm not talking religion, just consciousness in general. We have a beautiful universal gift of immortality. We are all ancient, whether we realize it or not. You might be alive on one timeline here, but we are old, ancient beings that deserve a great, great life. And to me, it's really sad because I see so much of the false matrix. and the need to control and manipulate and almost shatter the soul. It seems to me like they were soul torturing with me, and that was really coming from my spiritual benchmark. I didn't appreciate that at all, because it's a disrespect to source, to the creation, to the full light universe.
Indeed. You just made me think of another thing where, what was it you just said? It was, a copy into, it's not real, but...
We were talking about downloading your brain print or your mind or your spirit, into another place. But it seemed like to me, because we're both IT people, had IT backgrounds, it's like, well, that's more like transferring a database into another place. Is that it's not really you, it's just experiences and knowledge. It's not really like your personality and your how you would do your thought processes. And
exactly
where I was trying to go was that, how can we trust our reality if we're in a holographic universe?
But you create it.
I mean, wouldn't, I guess on some level, if being in a machine, that it would be, that machine would create? I mean, maybe am I overthinking this, or?
No, I think you have a point, but I'll tell you what, mankind's only as good as his inventions. And their technology right now is man. It's basically their communication system, it's their technology, it's their AI, it's their artificial brain. It's created by them. If it's created by a symbiotic intelligence off-world and extraterrestrial, that's a different animal. Mm-hmm. But what we're dealing with here is some of the stuff that they're doing, which is, some of it's covert CIA, some of it's other stuff. It reminds me of the EEG cloning and heterodyning, as I talked about earlier. But it's literally just an imitation. It's a brain mapping. It's mind mapping. It's brain mapping. It's taking an image and a snapshot of brainwave activity and heterodyning it onto a target, or heterodyning it into a communication system so they can utilize it elsewhere. So, no, it's just an imitation. And, we do have, once you start working the path of what I call spirit, or you don't have to be spiritual, but just be intelligent, be aware. You'll understand that certain things are not natural. They're not normal for the cosmos, and certain things are. Right. I'm not saying we're not ascended symbiotic or ascended machines. I know we have the capability, and I know I have the capability to navigate with any type of spacecraft through consciousness. I can move through anything. I know I can, and I can go into levels of this, but I've been in places where I know that I can move through my consciousness and integrate and interact with not only ships, but also through consciousness insofar as navigating to other worlds. Now, and that's complex, and we can get into that another time, but that's the truth of it. We have capability.
You sound like a spiritual black belt.
I am. I guess you call me a ninja on that level.
A spiritual warrior.
I think they should be careful, because I'm not a monster that they created at all, but now I'm just smarter. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, you remember Tron? Remember how smart that computer was getting?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, I just keep acquiring information, and I'm like, you guys should be really careful misusing covert technology. So, and I'm happy to share it, because if it can empower somebody, if it can help somebody along the way, especially if they get hit with something that makes them feel like they're crazy, or they're losing it through the type of psychotronic driving system I'm familiar with, then yeah, it's well worth it talking about.
Well, I know we're going to have to let you go kind of soon, maybe a little sooner, but so... If you don't mind, I'll just switch gears from your main story and just kind of ask you something more fun or interesting, if you don't mind.
Sure.
We were talking, Spaceboy and I, earlier or some time ago about, he had mentioned, he goes, when we go to this con, I wish there was a way you could talk to me without anybody knowing, like having a teleprompter that no one could see. And I was like, "Are you talking about?" I said, "You talking about me communicating with you psychically?" So I could put questions in his mind, and he asks them, and it doesn't all come from me.
Right.
So I was wondering, is that you have to be? Do you have to kind of be born naturally clairvoyant, or are these abilities that you have to foster? Or if you've got nothing, if you're a blank slate, is that something you will not be capable of?
Well, everybody has an ability to be telepathic naturally. That's a given through your psyche. I will tell that it takes practice insofar as you can easily, both of you could, meditate across from each other and send pictures and see if you can actually transmit and receive. And then also information. The synthetic telepathy is really in your face. It's really harsh at first because it's a live feed real time. It's really intimate. So yeah, you better be married to the person involved. I might as well feel like I've been married to these guys because it was so intimate. It was like, literally in live feed real time communication. So yeah, do you have the capability to do it? There's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of working this the psychic ability and advancing your own psychic skills. And we're not taught this. Let's face it, people aren't trained. That's the problem. You know, they should have been trained as avatars as children, and they're not.
So, let me ask you a question in regards to the same thing that we're talking about right now. I know this is bizarre, you know, switching it back on you. When you feel... Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, let me get my thoughts together here.
I have no idea what he's doing.
Here we go. Sonic drink.
Oh, well, that's just, you know.
I know, but you put an idea out there in your mind to see if I would do that, to pick you up a drink.
Yeah, it's such a
without even calling me and whatever.
Ability.
Yes, bring me a drink.
It's like, I want a milkshake. Take me to Sonic, and it works.
That was another time when out of the blue, I hadn't called her, whatever, and I said, you know, I'm going to stop by Sonic. I don't know why. I'm going to get her a milkshake. I just have this feeling that she wants a milkshake, and picked her up a drink. Came in through the front door, and it was like, how did you know, kind of thing. And so my question leads to this: has there been other times?
There's never not going to be a time I don't want that.
I know,
so,
but that's true. But has there been any other times where you've mentally suggested something and then I hit it on the spot?
I don't know about that, but I think it's because we've just known each other so long. We're in tune. Like we can do that finish each other's sentences thing at times, and I know him so well. I mean, I did something for him today, and I was building something for him today. I was like, this is something he would say. And then I put it up there, and he goes, oh, that is perfect. I said, yeah, because I know you. And I know your ego.
Oh,
yeah, your auras are connected. When you're intimate with a partner, you obviously blend auras when you're sleeping together, so that's normal. So you naturally have an empathic connection on some levels. And also, your abilities, Surlana, is to remote influence people. I'm pretty sure you have some really cool abilities. Now, once you start trying to push those a little bit more, you'll find that you have a lot more behind the scenes than what you realize.
That's a gift I don't.
Oh,
you have it.
I would not use it for good.
In full disclosure here, I'm going to tell you that she is like the wolf in sheep's clothing. She's there and she's quiet at times, but when she's ready to pounce on her prey, she comes out with both guns blazing.
I work in higher education. Do you know the damage I could do? As she said gleefully.
Hey, let's take our bottom of the hour break, and when we return, we'll talk more with Solaris BlueRaven before she has to go. But she's going to spend at least 15 more minutes with us, quality time. So you're listening to SpaceboyUniverse.com. Don't